everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am doing something drastic today. I am completely taking the entire drive line out of my diesel swap TJ Wrangler. And I'm doing this for a couple of reasons, but to just go over it real quick. Right now, when I go 55 miles per hour, I am out of my ideal torque band, both in third gear locked up and fourth gear unlocked. In third gear locked up, I'm at about 2,400 RPM. That is really spinning the diesel engine too high, and I'm actually losing torque at that point. But in fourth gear unlocked, I'm at like 1,600 RPM. It is just too low. And while it's okay on flat land, the second I hit a hill, it tries to downshift, but then I'm still out of my ideal torque band. So I went out this morning, I bought another AW4. This AW4 has an overdrive of 0.705. The one I just bought is a 0.75 overdrive. It should raise my RPM about 150 RPM. The other thing that I have coming, it didn't come today, is a new torque converter. This is a heavy duty torque converter, but not a low stall torque converter. That should also raise my RPM another 150 to 250 RPM. I live really close to the Blue Ridge Mountains, so I'm gonna be climbing hills constantly, and I'm trying to get my RPM while going 55 miles per hour to around 1,900 to 2,000 RPM. That's going to be right in the middle of my Kubota V2403's ideal peak torque band. And I know from driving it right now, when it cruises at that speed, it does fantastic. The other thing I'm going to be doing with everything out of it, I am going to fix the rat's nest of wiring that I have created over the last 2 years. So by pulling the entire drivetrain out, I can clean up a lot of this swap and make my engine bay and the underside of my Jeep look so much better. So the other thing I'm going to be doing real quick is I'm not going to do my normal time lapse. Normally I'm moving the camera around a lot to show you everything I'm doing. Today I'm trying to see how quick I can tear this apart. So where the camera is right now, it's going to sit there. I'm going to start timing everything, and as I pull everything out, I'm going to be organizing it over here. I'm curious to see how long it's going to take me to pull the engine, transmission, doubler, and transfer case. So without saying anything else, I'm going to get to work. I forgot how to pull the engine that I put in. To pull the engine out, it took me 2 hours and 15 minutes. What I should have done, and this would have saved me about half an hour if I had done it. These mount onto the frame. I pulled the bolt out of here. It goes on the ears on the motor mount plate. I should have left those in, unbolted the bolt here, undone the nut here, and then just lifted the whole thing. Because what I was fighting was trying to pull the engine towards me while also lifting the ears off of this, and that didn't work. I forgot, the other odd thing is, since I last pulled this engine, I went to bigger tires. I used to be on 235/75 R15 tires, which is like a 28.9 inch tire, and now I'm on 235/85 R16, which is a 31.8 inch tire. So I really had to lift that Kubota V2403 pretty high up in the air to get it over my front bumper and all that stuff. So that was a little bit sketchy, but yeah, I'm gonna leave the timer going because I want to know how long it's gonna take to get the rest of the drivetrain out. But yeah, that was by far the most difficult part. Now I just need to disconnect the front and rear drive shaft the shifter linkage for the MP231 transfer case, my doubler, and my transmission. And really after that, it's just unbolt the transfer case, pull that off. Once I have the transfer case off, I can actually drop the transmission and the doubler as one unit, which will actually be easier. So yeah, we're at 2 hours 15 minutes. Let's see how long it takes me to do the rest. Four hours. Literally took me 4 hours to completely take apart my Kubota powered, diesel swapped, whatever you want to call it, TJ Wrangler. I had forgotten when I first installed the transmission, the doubler, and the transfer case, I didn't have the interior in, and I had a huge hole in the floorboard to loosen the nuts on the top. I had a heck of a time trying to get to them, and then I finally realized, stick a second jack underneath of it, drop the whole thing, and then I can put a really big wrench on it to loosen them. The other thing I would have done if I were to drop all this out again, which I hope I never do, is I would have put the jack on the transfer case, and I would have taken apart my cross member for the transmission doubler and transfer case, dropped that, and then I could have just lowered everything onto that pallet there in one piece, and that would have made my life infinitely easier. But so one of the things that I realized, and this is kind of where this is really awesome, right now that doubler is a 21 spline input, but I forgot that it just uses an MP231 planetary, and I have another 23 spline input for an MP231. I've got one right here, so I am going to have to take apart my doubler again because I need to change the input. But once I change this input, I can hook up my other AW4. The only other thing I need to check, and I have not looked at this yet, I need to see if the wiring harness for the AW4 is different from this one. More than likely it is, so I'm going to have to get on a couple of schematics, because if it is different, I got to figure out if I can just rewire the wiring harness I have, or I need to message HGM Electronics and get them to make me a new wiring harness if the connectors are actually different, which is a real possibility. Let me clean my hands real quick, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in the engine bay. Be right back. All right, everyone, this is the wiring I'm talking about. I have exposed wires everywhere, and it just looks really bad. It's worse over there, and I'm not sure you can see it, but it looks really, it's a rat's nest. It's the best way to put it. But I was okay with it because I wanted to make sure everything worked before I really focused on putting it in some of this and putting electrical tape around it. But now that everything's out, this is the perfect time to just kind of organize everything that is here. I'm also thinking about trying to clean up parts of my frame and trying to paint it. My frame looks like it has rust. It has a lot of mud on it. This frame's actually really solid. It's one of the few things I'm not worried about on this Jeep. And it was one of the things I was very particular about when I was looking to buy my first Wrangler. I did not want to have to deal with frame rust. But anyway, am I going to do this today? No. I am exhausted from doing that. I knew taking all that stuff out wasn't going to be easy, but it was a little bit more difficult than I was expecting. So anyway, it's YouTube. You know what to do. Take out more than you bring, tread lightly, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.